another edition of Grown Folks Business. It's a beautiful Thursday.
Can I tell you, it's still, to Andre's point, Jay Dwayne's point, it's still so prevalent. And I know I'm tired. I can't imagine what you guys are like being in that skin and like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And wholeness. I want to live a life without any lack. And that's my ultimate desire. And it's really about inventory, if you will.
Whatnot. And you get really busy and you get on a train track that just carries you through a number of years.
We shared with mom and family that, we won't be there. We won't be home every Christmas. With birthdays that we'll celebrate. We'll call, we'll celebrate, but it might not be on that day.
All right. Welcome to another special edition of Grown Folks Business on a beautiful Thursday evening. We have a very, very special guest this evening. I've been given permission to use her first name, but I'm going to introduce her with her working title in front of that, Dr. Vicki Bannerman. You are, as you just described to me, because I wanted something that encapsulates your whole, I'm going to call it your discography, your businessography, your careerography, community superintendent. You're moving and shaking right now. You got things that I hope you're going to be okay with sharing with us in the space. And I want to get the other piece of the puzzle out the way so nobody can say, well, that's Meryl's sister. So you guys know who Meryl Holloway is. This is his wonderful sister who is just as awesome and amazing as he is.
More so.
Oh, she said it. Wow. That sounds like my sister. I have a big sister as well. And yeah, that's what y'all do. Y'all hard on us. But without further ado, welcome Dr. Vicki Bannerman to the show tonight.
Thank you.
We're just gonna do what we do here, talk, have a conversation, and get to know you and get to know what you're up to these days, because I know it's some big things, and I know you're getting ready to make a big move, big leap. I'm hoping you can put all that on the table. And the reason why it's important for the purposes of our conversation is that you're getting closer to home, but you're involved in some things that are really important to what is centered to what Grown Folks Business is about, what NC 100 is about, and that's better outcomes. So let's start with your journey. I know you're from Rockingham County.
Yes.
So tell me how you go from there to there, and now where you're going to next. So what's your journey been like?
Okay. Well, as you said, I am from Rockingham County, born and bred in Reidsville, North Carolina. That is my home. I am a Tar Heel. Let's just start over. My name is Dr. Vicki C. Bannerman, and I am a Tar Heel. So we want to make sure everybody's clear on that point as we bring home this national championship. Go Tar Heels, let's get it. So I did grow up in Reidsville, and as you said, I have an amazing big brother, Merrill. Love him. He is the best big brother any little sister could ever have. And we have two amazing parents, Evelyn and Marion Holloway, who brought us up in service. It's what we saw growing up from them being Boy Scout leaders, Girl Scout leaders, working in the church, a trustee in the church, playing piano, leading youth programs, just advocacy. When you grow up in a home that looks like that, the seeds are planted. And our parents did an amazing job nurturing the seeds of service. And so how do you go from Reidsville to Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill to Tucson, Arizona, to the United Kingdom, living in England, back to the States? Well, I married this wonderful man, and his name is Carlton, and he is a master sergeant in the United States Air Force. And so with him, I have two children, Cameron Bannerman, who is currently a student at UNLV in Las Vegas, studying anthropology and archaeology. And we have a daughter, Victoria Bannerman, who would have been 18 this year. And I'm sure going off to college and doing amazing things too, because that's what we do. That's what we do as a unit. That's what we do as a family. But so when I married Carlton, I just started traveling with him, supporting his career and his service to our country. It has been my honor to do so. I am thankful for just to have an opportunity to serve with him, even though we do live in a country that doesn't always love us back. You know, we're going to be real with that, because I'm not only an educator, I also do a lot with an organization called A Long Talk About the Uncomfortable Truth. And through my LLC, I do work with them, and they really fully push anti-racism experiences. You know, that's what they do. That's who they are. And we can, of course, we can dive into that. But, you know, moving around, I move with the Air Force. I move with my husband. But everywhere I go, I work in service. I work in support of education. I work in support of giving voice to underrepresented, underserved, under-resourced populations, to empower folks who look like me, who think like me, to understand they can be better than me, more than me, bigger than me, because we have to be. We cannot afford to be small in our voice and small in our presence. So anywhere that I go, my job, my passion, my purpose is to empower, to positively influence, and to let everyone around me know I will not dim my light so you can shine. I want to encourage you to elevate, get on my level, and let's do this work. So that's just a little tiny bit about my journey, why all the moving around, what drives me, where I like to focus. And I'm just thankful to be blessed enough to work and walk in my passions.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to your time in the UK. So I want to, that's going to be the second or third question. But a book that I had for this occasion to hold up is MLK's last work. Try to get the show clearly. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? Education is super important. Yes. I know that is very key to what you do. I know that you just basically told us that was a part of your journey. That was a big piece of how you get from there to here to everywhere you've been, not just on the coattails of your husband, but being active and functional and being someone who centers the importance of better understanding why we are the way we are. Yes. So where are you in terms of how much education is being devalued in our country now? There's been this kind of push to just prioritize regular jobs or jobs that are trades and such, which there's nothing wrong with. But as a college instructor myself and someone who values education, it's more so about learning about the other human beings that inhabit this place. And I think that's being lost in some of our prioritization of making money and having skills that pay the bills, but not necessarily understanding how we can get along better. So where are you in terms of education and the priority of it functioning in a meaningful way for our society?
And I'll be very honest with you, and this answer may surprise you, but I believe that education needs to be meaningful for the one seeking the knowledge. It has to be presented in a way that makes sense to that person, and it has to help that person get where that person's trying to go. I just no longer, and my mother, if she's watching, she is going to really have 10 fits, but it's what I do not believe that my path is for everyone. I do not think that traditional education systems work for every child. It doesn't work for every adult. I believe that a little backwards planning is important. And this is the conversation I had with my son. Hey, kid, what do you want to do with yourself? You know, what is it that you want to do? And once you have an idea about what you want to do, what is it going to take to get there? Arm yourself with the knowledge to know what steps do you need to take to get where it is you want to go and to do the things that it is you say you want to do. Now, whatever that looks like for you, that's where we invest. It does not have to be college, university. It does, like me, it does not have to be military, armed forces like your father. It can be trade school. It can be community college. It can be on-the-job training. But what it cannot be is a waste of my time and my resources. So that's the very honest conversation we had with him. And I work with so many young people who feel pressured to do what parents traditionally think is the only thing they can do. And what that does is stifle creativity. It stifles discovery. It stifles passions and purpose and monetizing things that are meaningful. So do I believe in education? Yes. Do I think education is necessary for high aptitude, altitude? Yes. But do I think education has to be acquired in a four-wall classroom on a college campus only? Absolutely not.
I echo those sentiments, and I want to be crystal clear in my asking of the question is the devaluation of social skills, of understanding that other people matter, and how you get along with other people, I think is enhanced by furthering one's education, by learning about the past.
I agree.
By understanding other cultures, by traveling. But I appreciate the term, what's understood to be an organic intellectual. I paid attention to a lot of different things and read books before you had to be prompted to do so once you enter, once you enter college life, and it's like 6 papers due by midnight.
Correct.
So, yes,
you're spot on.
Yeah,
you are
not the pressure I'm talking
correct.
about. Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that response because I support curiosity. Yes. And I know you do too. So that's the important thing.
And I agree with you, Felton. I also support connections. And that's a serious piece because I love technology. I love the advancements. But we also watch children engage more with a handheld than we see them engaging and interacting with other people. Some children in this current generation, they don't know how to have a conversation. They do not, they're not built to pick up a phone, to write a letter, to just talk. And so those are social skills that are lacking. Absolutely, yes.
You preaching to the choir. See, this is why I love our format here. I have plenty of questions for you, but when we find something that is worthy of our attention, we can definitely make it resonate for the moment that we do. And I'm with you. Social skills are really at an inflection point in our society, especially where young people are concerned, especially where their heads are down more than they're up and looking at the world and really taking in things. And when the batteries go dead, it's a hissy fit. So I'm with you, and I appreciate that being something that's critical to how you approach what you do for a living, which we'll get to. But I wanted to stay on the education thing for one moment because we're talking about you. This is about Dr. Bannerman. So what opportunities did education open up for you along your journey? Because I know there had to be some doors that were unlocked, and it was based on your curiosity, I'm fairly certain.
And I'll be very honest, I had an amazing opportunity to serve as a deputy cabinet secretary for the state of New Mexico. So I held the second highest position in education across the state, sitting only under the Secretary of Education. And that was huge. Now, before I got that job, I was a high school principal. So I went from a high school principal all the way up to the state in a very high level position. Now, how did I get there? It's education. Because when I sat in that principal seat, I was still Dr. Bannerman. And before I sat in that principal seat, I was Dr. Bannerman. And so while I will always say, like my sorority letters, the letters don't make me. I absolutely make those letters. It's the same. But you know what kind of society we live in. The paperwork matters. The credentials matter. And I fully believe that I would not have gotten the opportunity to serve on such a high level had I not gone all the way in education. And I skipped a bunch of steps from high school principal to deputy secretary of education for the state. And a huge part of that is because I was already equipped with the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities to do the job. And that's my schooling. Straight up, no chaser. That absolutely played a role getting me there.
Sarah, so hands-on. Did you have, I'm going to jump ahead before I ask you about your time in New England, or in England, I want to say New England, or in England. Who were the people that you connected with either along the way or when you were growing up in Reedsville that maybe, I know you mentioned your mom, moms are important, I get that, but is there somebody else out there that caught your attention, caught your eye? I don't care if there's somebody on TV, but somebody that had you thinking like, wow, the world is a little bigger than this, and I know I want to see some of that.
Let's see, for the world, honestly, just for my curiosity in general, not necessarily, I really want to see the world. I really want to get out of Reidsville because, I love the Reidsville. And honestly, my mom is the one who told me I was going to college. Like she didn't have the conversation with me that I had with my son. For my brother and I both, she said, you're going. And we're not, that's it. There was no discussion about that. So she, really pushed, but that passion for education, like her sister, Mozella K. McDonald, she was a teacher and she really planted some early seeds, because everyone loved her. And I just loved how people loved her and how she loved kids and she loved her career. And I used to enjoy going to Lincoln with her and just being in that environment. And my godmother, Neva Martin, she was an educator, also a finer woman of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. That she influenced me that way as well. She truly did, and I had a cousin, Dr. Freeman Jones. Now, he was one of the first people that I heard other people call doctor. And I paid attention to that. I'm like, do you work in a hospital? As a small child, I'm like, what is that? So, just really getting to know some of the leadership roles that he held and asking questions about his title and some of the things that he did. So the education and the passion for learning were instilled at an early age. And I'll be honest, like I really didn't have a huge desire to travel around, but my husband, really making a choice because I did not choose a military lifestyle. I chose to love and to build with that man. And he just so happened to be, in the military. So that was a huge adjustment for me, but I will acknowledge, all of the blessings that, that I have been able to encounter and explore and experience because I have traveled around the world as a military spouse, but a military spouse armed with my weapons, my tools, right? My education, my experience, my ambition, and my drive. So what I wasn't going to do is just sit at home because that's just not what I wanted to do. So every time he moved, it was, you need to reinvent yourself. You need to get out here and hustle for it. Get out here and find it. Go chase it. Grow where you are planted. So being a military spouse has made me an even stronger professional, a more well-rounded educator with a global lens that I would not have had I not, attached myself to my husband, who just so happened to be in the Air Force.
That global lens is a perfect segue. So I am definitely appreciative of that answer because you connected a lot of dots. It's not just about this one person to that person. It's about the experiences that happen because those connections are made.
Yes.
So you getting married to your husband who's in the military took you different places that unless you just put on a helmet with a dark face over it that you can't see anything, you're going to see some stuff that is just different. You're going to be influenced a certain way. And being that he's in the military, you spent significant amounts of time in different places, I'm certain. So yes. Tell us about England. And I asked specifically because that's like the mother of our country in terms of, how we're culturally developed in our origin. So what is it like there versus here? What is the difference in the value system? How is education, as we've described it, valued there?
Mm-hmm. Well, and let me just say my mother-in-law, I love her, Yvonne Bannerman. She's British. My father-in-law, he was also in the Air Force. So they met when he was also stationed in England. So we definitely have very strong British ties and culture, British and Jamaican ties and cultures in our family, because that's my husband's. That's his background, my children's background. And so being able to live in England for me was a little different because there were family members there. So when we went, we met uncles and cousins, and just, we really got to experience the culture more intimately than other military families because we had connections there. And so what I will say, just from my limited perspective, we were there 3 years. So just from my perspective, education, I don't want to say it's more value, but it's structured a little differently. It's definitely structured differently. It doesn't look like we have a K-12 system. I think, students, they either go a little longer. My mother-in-law is going to get me because I should know this, and I don't have immediate recall because I didn't work. I didn't work on the economy. I worked on base. I worked in a position on base, but I do know they either have a longer term in school or a shorter term in school, meaning a more accelerated, more rigorous. I think it's a more rigorous pathway that they have in England than we have here. And I think students are able to enter the university system I think it's a little earlier than we're able, because that's the way that they are prepared. And also they have if I'm remembering correctly, very specific pathways, because we have diploma tracks, but I think their pathways are like, are you going to university? If you're going to university, then it's a very stringent pathway forward. If you're going into like more of the workforce, it's not a watered down pathway. It's still just as rigorous, but it's so focused. And I think, and somebody's not going to like this, but that's okay. I think it's more developed. I think the education system in England is more developed. I think it's better structured. I think it's definitely better resourced. I think it is just like the healthcare system. We're not talking healthcare, but to me, they go hand in hand, right? It's a necessity. You have to fight for healthcare here where it's given there. You have to fight for educational opportunities where they're given there. So that in and of itself, to me, I feel like they're just ahead of the game when it comes to education.
Yeah, I was having an earlier conversation, and some of the elements of our society just don't dictate healthy interactions and comfort and appreciated comfort. And such is the case, like you're saying, just going to the hospital. I imagine that alleviates some stressors in regard to the energy you have for another task. So how much relaxed can a student be if he knows that, it's okay if he gets sick? He's not going to pull mama out of work and cause some big rigmarole. There's a different set of priorities. Even from my experience overseas, I went to Amsterdam once, and that was just a really eye-opening experience. And then we drove into Germany, and you just have a different take on things. And no, I don't think either one of us are saying, for everybody listening, America is just this piece of junk and go somewhere else. No, it is just to go somewhere where things are not as askew in the way that you're familiar with. They're established slightly differently, and you can understand that there's a priority for being social during a certain hour of the day. There's a priority for appreciating certain things, and even if it's just architecture or landscape, outside on the corner sipping on some coffee or tea. It's just
absolutely.
It's a different priority. It's not like wait till you're done with work. It's a different priority. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that all of these things have moved you in different ways and have brought you now to a new position that I'm hoping that you can tell us more about, because it sounds very interesting and fascinating. I know it was kind of just, we couldn't really speak about it. We're certain we're going to be able to speak about it
right
on tonight. So can you tell us, and if there's a bridge, let's build it. Tell us how you go from the principal to being second in charge of education in New Mexico to now getting to the point that you're moving to DC for a special new task.
Okay. So one thing, and I always knew, I just knew, for me, leadership, service leadership, transformational leadership, being a visionary, for me, it's innate. I think I came out of the womb exactly ready to lead in some capacity. I've been doing it since I can recall doing anything. And initially I thought, well, I'm going to go to law school. Like that's what I thought. Took the LSAT, everything. Like I just knew that's what I was going to do, because to me, I was like, okay, I'll be a lawyer. It's prestigious. I can, make a decent amount of coin. I can still help people. I'm going to do that. But I just didn't have a passion, and I'm a mighty Tar Heel, but I did 2 years at NC State. They're fine. I did 2 years at NC State, but I wasn't sure. I was a political science major. Went to State, I was a political science major. The classes were a total snooze fest. I mean, I was bored in it with it. And then I took a couple education classes just for electives, because again, education, it was, really implanted in me, and I loved them. I loved them.
Can I add something inside of this?
Yes.
At what point in those classes did you say, I can do this a little different and I can do this a little better?
It doesn't take but a second. It does not take, because you know what? Honestly, I had those thoughts and feelings when I was still in high school, because I had amazing teachers, and then I had some not so great teachers along the way. And so the teachers who did it really well, they have a very lasting impression. The administrators who really show up in spaces for kids really do leave a lasting impression. And then the ones who don't also leave a lasting impression. And I had both. I honestly had both, but I had more good than bad going through school in Reedsville, at Reedsville High School and middle school. So I am thankful for those influences. But again, I'm thinking, okay, teachers don't make any money. Teachers they don't make a lot. My mother worked in education as well. And I'm like, they just don't bring it home like that. They can love their work, but I need to pay the light bill too. So, I thought about those things, and I thought, I'm going to be a lawyer because I have the gift for gab. I think I am charming and articulate and persuasive, and, I can be grimy if that's what's necessary to get to the outcome, but there was just no passion for it. I could not make myself do it. And so I said, I did the thing that I kind of always knew I would do. I went into education. I transferred to UNC Chapel Hill, and then I got into an education program, loved all the classes. I did an early internship in Raleigh, just getting into the classroom and really just seeing what it did not scare me away, because I'm like, I'm a grown up. I will never understand grown-ups who are afraid of children. Where they do that at? That is just, I do not live on that lane. I wish a kid would. I mean, I love children. I absolutely love them, because I know how to engage with kids in a way that respects. They don't give it away. Kids just do not give it away. They're not built that way anymore.
They want to engage with us, but you can't. They are the best. They have the best nose for fakery. If you're not sincere, they don't want to be bothered with you. If you're not sincere, they don't want to even look at you.
And they'll tell you that. They'll tell you that. They'll show you that. But I have amazing rapport with children, because guess what? I actually like them. And I know a lot of educators that don't like kids. And that is always something that I say to teams when I come in. I'm like, I am going to know whether you like kids or not very quickly, because I'm looking. And when I discover whether you like kids or not, I'm going to let you know. I mean, and it's not a threat. It is just an observation. If you do not love children, if you do not have a passion for the work that we do, because it is hard, I want to encourage anyone, find something else to do, because children deserve better than what they are getting in a lot of schools. They just do.
Yeah,
in all the ways.
You're going to have me at 1,000% on that as well. There's these moments, especially when I was working more consistently with youth at the YMCA, there's these moments that you actually can sit back and observe when they're doing some task you've put them up to. There's something to that exchange when you know that there was a sincere effort and thought and energy and probably love that went into creating this little exercise of whatever it is. And a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, we were in Reedsville High and Maryland. And and we did a really good exercise, and the kids were just all into it. And there's an exchange there. And I think, to your point about when you realize if somebody doesn't value that exchange, they're in the wrong place. It's not just about you being the overt taskmaster and you got to go do this and that. It is literally an exchange of, you're somewhere I once was.
Yes.
And I can't tell you it's going to go perfect. I can't tell you it's going to be great, but I'm here to let you know it does go. It goes somewhere. So yeah,
absolutely.
continue. You're doing a wonderful job. You're building up to this where you are now. So we're going to get some. Yeah, you want to be a lawyer. Then you said, "Nah, I ain't gonna be no lawyer."
I'm scaffolding, right? That's it.
Keep going.
That's it. And so so as a student, I knew what types of teachers that I loved and what types of principals and support staff I loved and those I did not. And then as I continued that journey and got my first teaching job, I will never forget, I was not even graduated yet. I was at a job fair just to get a feel for what would be expected of me once I really step out there and look for jobs. So I was in a line for middle school, and then I got pulled out of that line by an interim principal at Sherwood Githens Middle School in Durham, North Carolina. By the time we got through talking, that lady offered me a job. Now, I could have just turned cartwheels all the way down the floor. I'm like, what? I don't even have my degree, but I was going to graduate in like a couple months, at the end of the program, all of that. And I already had a job. I was so excited. But then, when I started telling people about Githens, they're like, oh my gosh, that's a bad school. That's a hood school. And I'm like, okay, I have a job. I was so excited because those terms don't put any fear in my heart. All they said to me was, Vicki, you're going to be a great fit at that school. Vicki, they need exactly your personality at that school. Vicki, they need someone who looks like you, talks like you, acts like you, loves like you at that school. And so I have always gravitated towards schools exactly like that, with children who are not loved on enough, with children who have been given up on, with children who need just a little bit of that Black mama love and that Black girl magic inside the classroom. And I'm gonna tell you something, I bring it in big doses. And I will hug children. I will check and correct children. I will tear them all the way down and build them all the way back up in the exact same conversation, because you can't let the baby leave until they know they're loved. That is you cannot end the conversation when you are correcting a child until they are clear. You are loved, but you will do better. And then you got to hug them. Yeah, you gotta hug them. You must.
That's a value that is only brought a certain way by the Black women I've had the pleasure of working with and being nurtured by, and amongst them Miss Portia Paris, who NC 100 has a fellowship with, and sponsors a fellowship in honor of, and there's so many. Miss Myrna Wigley, who used to be in charge of the Achievers program before I took over, and then she was awesome. But it was always love, like you said. That love had to be mentioned, and if nobody told you today they loved you, I did, and that was a beautiful way to do, and maybe that man in me is, to a little degree, but I made sure I expressed some adoration and appreciation when I got the opportunity, and maybe I'm softening in my old age as well. So I wanted to, because you are doing this great build out, I want to interject something really quickly, because I was at a conference recently, and something that was brought up kind of speaks to where you just mentioned these schools that they know are kind of struggling are often assigned. In this case, it was a gentleman talking about Black male principals who were understood to be the fixers, and they would assign them to these schools to go and, get them steered back in the right direction. And as soon as they did, there will be another school for them to go fix instead of letting them, finish their tenure or catch their breath. And a couple of those guys were getting burnt out. Did you ever run into anything like that along your path before you get to where we're going to where you are now?
Well, I will say that I have seen a lot of turnover. Now, I don't know that I've seen as much fixing as I would like to see. But I have absolutely seen some of what you're describing. Like, you go in there, clean it up as much as you can, and then we're going to send you somewhere else, clean it up as much as you can, and then just go. The instability is debilitating. It is the worst strategy, one of the worst strategies that I have ever seen. If we are working, if we are doing, because first of all, you need about 3 good years before real change can happen in a school. If you introduce new programs, new funding, new resources, you've got to train, you've got to pilot, you've got to work out kinks, you've got to reassess, reinvest, and reinvent. There's so much work that goes into real organizational change and cultural change. It does not happen with these, okay, you get in there, just go for a semester and then we'll move you out. Or, well, you're getting your hand popped, so we're going to put you over here. You're really on punishment, but not. So just go over here, do the best you can. And then, when you've served your time, we're going to move you elsewhere. That is ridiculous. It is foolish. And those types of shenanigans is really like, you can't do things like that on the backs of children. You just cannot do that on the backs of children. Children deserve the very best that you have. The best that you have. And if you are not able to provide the best that you have, stop putting the morons in the principal's seat and thinking everything is going to be all right. It's not going to be all right. You cannot be a moron and lead a school.
You preach it to the choir. I was on another call recently, and a lady who is very, matter of fact, she is at UNC and trains teachers on teaching tough history, and her name is escaping me yet, but I have to get you that show that was recorded. She was mentioning, we're obsessed with what kids are learning and putting some energy towards it being not healthy for them to be challenged about history and about the past, but we're not prioritizing feeding them. There's a lot of care that has to be given. And it's not just about what's going into their brains. It's about what's going into their hearts. And it's
Correct.
about, them being able to concentrate because they've had a good meal.
Correct.
But we don't want to prioritize that part of the conversation. Okay, so get us to where you are now, because I got 2 more questions that I want to ask. And one of them is a fun question. But get us to where you are now, because I'm excited for you to share that news.
Okay. And so, but I have to just say, you're right. The whole child matters. Every piece of a whole child's experience is going to absolutely inform potential trajectory for that baby. And so no piece can be neglected. Just no piece. We need to touch all of it. And so how did I get to where I am? Because all of the things that I'm speaking, I know. And when I show up in spaces, I'm exactly this person. I don't put on different faces. I tell people all the time, you see this face? This is the face you're going to get in the classroom, in the boardroom. You're going to get this if I'm on the legislative floor during session. You're going to get this face no matter what. And so now, because I have identified real deficits in education, and I have not identified these by myself, we all see it. But we're not just going to talk about it. We're going to do something about it. And so that is how I've been positioning myself. I put myself in positions through the grace of God. His mercy, his favor has allowed me to position myself to do something about it. So serving on the state level, I've done. Leading schools, I've done. Leading traditional schools, I've done. Supporting charter schools, I've done. Now I have been blessed. I'm truly blessed with an opportunity to now directly serve and support military affiliated children, because now I am going to be starting a brand new position with the Department of Defense Education Activity. I will be a community superintendent. And in this position, I will lead and oversee campuses in the Virginia and New York areas, where I will support principals, their growth, their development, their leadership, support just forward movement in doing all the best things for military children, military families, military communities. I am over the moon excited to invest in an organization that has been a huge blessing to my family, because we are a military family. My children did attend military affiliated schools through Department of Defense Education Activity when we lived in Lakenheath. They both went to military schools on the base. And so it is an honor for me to be able to take this good word, where they are already doing great things for kids, and help them do even more even better for every child who has the opportunity to step on a campus that falls under my purview, and with the support of the team, because I do believe in collaboration. I absolutely believe in service before self. We are going to show this region something they have never seen before, because Vicki Bannerman is coming to town.
Ooh, I love it. So one thing I'll say that is lockstep with me as well is being consistent. I pride myself on being the same person on any space, because I can't keep up with nobody but one, just one. I can't do it. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to knowing that you're gonna be right in the north of us doing some wonderful things. And a quick question about that specifically, because I think it's wonderful to better educate the children of our serving members of society. I think that's a good place to begin something that could save our public school systems. One question I wanted to ask real quick, because now I got three, so I'm gonna ask this one real quick, and it brings that back into the fold. Where do you think our education system, I'm primarily speaking on public education, where do you think we're strong and where are we weak?
So let's start with the weak. Honest to goodness, if I'm being very transparently honest, schools are not designed for children. Schools are absolutely not even built to seriously support children. If you think about an elementary school setting, in elementary schools, you go into these lively, engaging settings. You have a workshop model. Some kids have headphones. Some kids are reading a book. Some kids are working on writing. Some kids are working in small groups with the teachers. Kids, they all just about have an individualized education plan, because every kid needs their own plan, because there is no cookie cutter that's going to ever work. And so kids are just learning. We identify where they are, we meet them where they are, and we get them all to the finish line using such differentiated, diverse methods. Then we send those babies to middle school and we stop. That makes no sense. Why would you put a child in kindergarten, expose them to what really does work very well? You get them used to it. You put them in sixth grade. Now, sixth grade is not even a middle school grade. Sixth grade is an elementary age, but they still stick them in a middle school setting. And you tell them, forget everything you've done for the last 5 to 6 years, and we're going to give you something totally different. So when middle school babies are starting off, they don't have to just learn content curriculum. They have to learn an entire process. They have to relearn. And you think about, they don't even earn credits in middle school. So we do this to them again. We send the 9th grade babies to high school. Then we start talking to them about a credit. What? Why didn't you tell me about a credit a few years ago? What do you mean? I just can't show up, be cute, and pass? What do you mean I have to earn a credit? What is a transcript? What do you mean I don't get any recess? Wait, what do you mean I have to go to all 7 of these classes? Wait, there's an A day and a B day. It's a gold day and a black day. No, wait a minute. It's a cougar day and a panther day. What? And so we blow their mind again. Children are struggling navigating processes. It's not always the content. They're trying to figure out the day-by-day operations. Then the adults have the audacity to say to these children, I want you to sit in these straight rows. You do not get to talk. And if you turn in this paper 30 seconds after the deadline, I'm going to give you a 0. What? You don't have a pencil? 0. What? You're talking in class? 0. What? You didn't bring that tissue box you were supposed to bring because you know we don't have any money for tissues? 0. So you have these children earning grades based on things that have nothing to do with the standard course of study or whether or not they are mastering anything or showing proficiency. That is a messy mess, a hot flaming mess. And then you want them to sit for 45 minutes They can't engage. They can't talk. They can't ask a question. Hey, grown up, you can't even do that. You don't even have the capacity to do that. You don't get your grades turned in on time. You don't even show up for work on time. And you're not prepared. But you don't want me to dock you a paycheck for doing what it is that children do. But you are quick to dock their grades. No, my brother, you have to get your own, because we don't do that. We don't do that in a Dr. Bannerman school. We don't do that in a Dr. Bannerman classroom. And I fought tooth and nail with Albuquerque Public Schools and with the unions. I love union support. But what you're not going to do is damage a child because you don't know how to do it any better. No. So those are areas of gross weakness and foolishness that goes on in schools and classrooms to the detriment of our children. Those are honest facts of where we are weak and we need to do better.
Well, I don't even know if I need to hear the strong part because it might not take as long. But I do want to say, I'm really happy that you're doing what you're doing, because I cannot see you not saving some lives, changing some lives, and putting some people in some positions to succeed that may not have ever thought they could. I'm really happy that you're involved in the way that you are. Something you said made me want to go back and see if I could get into elementary school and start over again, because you're right. There is a specific attention given to individual children, and that goes away too quickly. Yes. And it's a disruptor. Now, as a person that is kind of hard on my students at the collegiate level, there's that disconnect that we discussed earlier. And I think these two things are connected and disconnected at the same time. The lack of social norms and understanding of what responsibility is commingled with the way that abrupt transition occurs. I think that's a wonderful observation, Dr. Bannerman, and I'm actually looking forward to how you address that in the future. I might have to come in and sit in and see how you do some things, because that's a great observation. There's a care that is more specialized and it goes away. And yes. What does that do to you, society, as a social person, social being, when you don't know who to talk to and who to trust that has your interest at their heart? Whoa, right. I'm grateful for that. Okay, so I'm going into the last few questions that I have for you. Okay. This one, I think you'll answer in the way that has to be family, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So what has been your anchor? What has kept you grounded? Because everything that I see that you're involved in requires a lot of energy, requires you to be this full, boisterous person that I'm encountering right now, probably 24/7. But when do you get to just be grounded and understand that, you can relax for a moment? What gets you there?
Well, my faith sustains me. Hands down, my faith. I could not be anything, do anything, say anything, accomplish anything without God. I mean, nothing happens in my life without God, because God gives me strength to endure and to move forward when I am physically exhausted, mentally drained, frustrated, racially attacked. I mean, just God says, keep going. God says, move forward. God says, I did not build you to quit. I built you to fight. I built you to encourage. Do it. God does that. And my faith in God has gotten my family through many, many hard times. So faith and favor, I mean, I stand on it. I stand on it boldly and strongly. And because God has blessed me that way, he's blessed me with a family, a family who, because just because they have not pursued a doctorate, they were my biggest cheerleaders going to get mine. I mean, my mother, oh my gosh, my mother, my father, my brother, I mean, just all the time. Oh, you can do it. And I'm like, well, how do you know, as I'm crying because I want to quit? How do you know I can do it? Well, because you can. It's so simple to my mom. So simple in her mind. And she says things like, well, Vicki, if you would go ahead and do it, it'd be done. You're right. Okay. Yes. Go ahead and do it. I'm wasting time now. I'm wasting time venting about it. Let me just go ahead and get it done. So my family, my faith definitely sustain me. But when it's time to relax, like I love to sing. I just love, you can't tell me I'm not Patti LaBelle. I'm not, but you can't tell me that. So I love to sing, and like I reach over, right? I'll be at church choir with my tambourine. Yes, I sit on that pew and I get down, okay? I really do. It's cathartic and it's relaxing for me. I love to eat. Now, I'm a Southern girl. You put some good old mac and cheese and some ribs or some chicken and some good sweet tea. You feed me, Seymour, feed me now. Like I enjoy good old home cooking. I love to travel. I love good movies, because work-life balance matters. And I have not always lived on that lane. But I tell any professional, anybody in service, on any level, in any capacity, if you are not replenishing that cup, you will be empty. And an empty soul, an empty heart, you can't be of service or support to anyone. Self-care matters. That balance matters. And I'm very intentional about it now as an older, wiser professional than I was as a younger professional. So when I need to be refueled, I go get it. When I need a break, I take it. When I need just something that is for me, a nice spa day, I enjoy a massage at the spa, and like taking care of me, keeping this look together. That I love that, right? I mean, and so just whatever I need to be my best me, that's what I'm going to do.
I love it. So the fact that you understand what keeps you who you are is critical to any exercise, because we all have to step outside of ourselves to get things done sometimes. Getting
Absolutely.
back there can be a journey. It can be a hunt. It can be a search in the woods. But like you said, God first. And I appreciate everything you're saying and sharing in the space with me, because that PhD journey is unreal. Last question. And I think this is the one that we get out of here on. That's the fun one. Time machine. You have one. You going future? You going past? Who you talking to and what you're doing?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. A time machine. I think if I had a time machine, I'm going to the past, and straight up and down, I'm talking to myself. I am talking to young Vicki Holloway, and I want to give her some nuggets to help better prepare her for what's to come. I would really talk first to myself. And because, there are some other, some things that we did not talk about, that plague little Black girls, about the melanin. Like, I love my melanin. I have such an appreciation for this Hershey brown skin, but it hasn't always been that way. I have such an appreciation for this natural hair, these locks that I love, but it hasn't always been that way. I would want to encourage and motivate young Vicki in a way that only Vicki can motivate Vicki. That would be something that I would do. And then I would want to have some more conversations with my aunt Zella, who we lost too soon, who is, one of my education superheroes. I would really want to talk to her and to really get her to feed more into me. Like, I would want to take every single piece of her to carry it with me. And of course, I would want to see my child. I would want to go to a point and see my child, because that little girl was all the best parts of me. Every wonderful thing about me, she was better. She was better, and I saw it in her at a young age, and I watched how she watched me. From anything where I'm just in the mirror, just applying makeup or just everything, she was really paying attention. That little girl was going to run circles around me in all the ways. And I knew it. And I would just want more time with my baby. Just more time. A moment with my baby would be great. And then, I'd like to go down the Soul Train line. I would like to just get on there with Don Cornelius and not like to bop down that Soul Train line once or twice. You know, just some fun things like that. That would be my pleasure.
Well, I'm going to say that anchor for you exists in a place in a space that is not too far removed, because we only get this much time here, and to understand and value what you experienced and the people that were important to you that remain here and a priority for your thinking and for your actions and how you move forward. The past is your anchor, just like the present and the future is the voyage, is a part of the voyage. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm so appreciative of the time. This has been awesome. I look forward to this one being shared out and just being in places and spaces that people need to hear. You are somebody that I'm glad to connect with. We've had I think one or two episodes in the past, but to have you centered in this space is critical and important. I'm glad that we were able to do this, and man, I'm looking forward to you getting to this side of town. So
Me too.
best to you and your fam. Y'all take care. Thank you for sharing the time. Everyone out there that got a chance to tune in or that watches this on replay, pick up on everything that you can, because it was some good stuff put in the air here. So thank you, Dr. Vicki Bannerman. Greatly appreciate you.
Thank you for the time and the space and the opportunity. Very much appreciated.
All right. Y'all take care out there. Be good.